something that I kind of like wanted to reiterate as well. Why do we need to prevent objections? Because in general, like I just want everybody to kind of like get it in their heads that objections are natural. They are normal. If you imagine that you would go out there and sell anything to clients having no objections, like it's really delusional, because like our human brain just doesn't work this way, like because our human brain will always focus on everything that might go wrong, it's just normal. So you kind of like, whenever you are talking to people, right? Whenever you're selling anything, doesn't matter whether it's your marketing or when you're already on the call with the client, you have to assume that they're gonna have objections. Like it's a base assumption. They already have it, right? That's why, because we know that people are gonna have objections, we're gonna handle them ahead of time in our content, right? We're gonna answer those thoughts that they have in their head already ahead of time, right? So today we're gonna just quickly talk about the psychology of sales objections, right? Why is it there in the first place? The most typical objections that people will always have, and like some of you mentioned it last time already in our conversations, how to prevent them. Like I'll give you a couple of frameworks you can use in your content in order to kind of already close the objection tab in their, like, brain that is open. And then Steph gonna take over and talk to you about how to prevent them in the sales conversations. Okay? So we're gonna have a demo, like Steph mentioned already, and then we're gonna answer all your questions. But if you have questions in the meantime, it's also absolutely okay, right? It's a conversation. It's not just like us being talking heads. So raise your hand or just like unmute yourselves, jump in, ask a question. All right? Deal? Okay.
Deal.
Let's go. So what is a sales objection? Basically, it's any reason like that client will tell you for why they don't buy, right? Can be any reason. But it's kind of like a roadblock. So you need to understand that if you don't tackle the roadblock, it can kind of derail your sales deal, right? So it might not happen. So that's why we want to take care of them. So something that Steph mentioned already there, prevention, combat, and management. So we're focusing on prevention today. So generally, guys, like think about it. Put yourselves always in the shoes of your customer. Why are you potentially not buying something, even when you want to solve a problem in your life? Because you're scared, right? There is generally some sort of fear, which is a very normal reaction of a human brain, right? Remember, our human brain is a survival brain, right? So it always focuses on all the potential dangers, like what if it doesn't work? What if I waste my money? What if this person embarrasses me if I work with them? What if it derails my status, right? So they fear any type of negative consequences that might be caused by working with you. They are uncertain whether your product works, right? Whether you have the skills and experiences to help them. They have doubts whether, like you have like some sort of reputation or something, especially when you're a newbie, when you're just starting out, when you don't have a track record. Of course, people are going to have doubts. Like, how the hell would they not have doubts? Like there is no proof that whatever you do works, right? So basically what I call this is like kind of like a lack of belief in three things, right? And it's very easy to remember always. So it's always the lack of belief in you as an expert, belief in your product or service that it actually works, and also lack of belief in themselves. Can I actually do this? Oh, I don't know why I have balloons. Balloons going off. And now like it's always like my video gets stuck after the all these emojis appear, right? So it's kind of a lack of belief. So what we need to do is basically tackle the lack of belief, right? In a way, it's also good to know because it's very controllable, right? If we always know that no matter what, the main three underlying reasons for why people not buy and why they have objections is the lack of belief either in you as an expert, in your product, or in themselves, it becomes very easy to tackle, right? So let's ask someone who is there. You guys are like all off camera. Can I call you out? Because it seems like Kashila is the only is the only person who is present in this conversation. Do you pronounce your name correctly, by the way? Is it Kashila? Okay. So, Kashila, what do you think? If people have a doubt in you as an expert, if they don't believe that you're an expert enough, how can you prevent this? How can you raise the belief?
I think it all starts with presentation, the way you present yourself towards the client from the beginning.
So what do you need to present in order for them to have more belief that you are the right person to help them?
Well, if I look at the way I follow through conversations, I always start with trying to find the question, trying to answer the question about what the client is looking for, and try to find their need. And if I'm able to answer that question in the beginning, then I think that they can already sense that they're dealing with someone who's understanding them.
So showing the understanding of their problem, right? So having like in-depth knowledge and understanding of your customer, right? And then kind of like articulating that you understand their problem. Okay, awesome. Ulrike, what else? For people to believe that you're an expert, for raising their belief, what do you need to do?
You asking me again or someone else?
No, Ulrike.
Ulrike, okay.
Thank you. Ulrike, you're still muted. We don't hear you.
Do you mean in the conversation already, or already before?
No, in your content before. You know, what does the potential customer needs to know about you to believe that you're an expert enough to help them?
Okay, well, I think there the interviews come handy, where you can already sort of speak into their mind, what they're thinking, so they can realize, oh, this person really knows what I'm thinking or what I'm about my troubles, and then maybe also show some client testimonials of how you, or explain, how you've helped this person, take them on the journey. That's what I would say, maybe.
Okay, awesome. Michi, can you think of something else? What do you need to portray in your content so people believe you're an expert?
General creating authority.
Mm-hmm.
Showing my experience, what supports it that I'm doing what I'm doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, either it's professional or even I've been there myself and that I solved it for myself if I don't have other testimonials.
Mm-hmm.
I have something else, sorry.
Yeah, come on, go in.
Like Michi, she posted also that she was in that magazine, with the interview thing where you've been featured. I think that will always hit home.
Amazing, guys. So look, you already named a couple of things. So for one, it's showing the understanding of the customer problem, right? So you understand them, you have the insight, right? That's why it's very important to know your customer inside out. If you don't understand your customer, if you don't know who they are on a deeper level, none of your efforts will make sense, right? Showing authority, so showing the proof that you are regarded highly in your expertise, right? So it might be a magazine, being in the magazine. It might be, I don't know, some famous clients you worked with, some logos, right? Like why people put logos on their website of the companies they worked with? Because it's authority, partner of, trusted by, right? All of these things. Also, social proof that Ulrike mentioned, right? Testimonials, client cases. This is everything we need, if you put ourselves in the shoes of the customer to know and understand that you actually can help them, right? So it's kind of like in your content marketing to raise belief, right? For you as an expert, what we're talking about, lots of case studies, right? Expert opinions, especially strong expert opinions. Like if you can examine your industry and understand where maybe your opinion is very different from what everybody else says, this is something to put in your content. It's a very strong opinion. It will polarize the opinions, right? And some people will disagree and they will argue with you, but it will work. It will really help you to be seen as an expert, in what you do, right? Highlighting your relevant experiences for the niche you're working in, for the segment of the market you're working in, even if they are not related, like necessarily kind of like they might be not in the same area of expertise, but it's something that is relatable, something that you can extrapolate kind of from one field to the other. That's okay. Show this expertise, show this experience that you have. Put out educational content, like show them that you know what you're talking about, right? Lots of, I don't know, like talking about the type of customers you help, like because like when you show these things, it creates like in people's mind that's like, okay, like you're a strong opinion leader. You're being regarded highly because, I don't know, you're doing public speaking, you're being on stage somewhere, you've been in a magazine, you're working with known brands. All of this helps you, right? That's why like a lot of times in the beginning, the partnerships, like when we are just starting out, like as newbie entrepreneurs, sometimes it really helps to partner up with someone who already has authority in that space, right? So if you can do this and put their name next to your name and call it out in your content, you know, people right away know where to place you, right? Your product or service, right? You really need to know what's important to your customer. And we're going to talk about this, and I'm sure that Steph going to mention this, right? Because like when you're really listening to the customer in the sales conversations as well, you need to understand their real needs, because then you can call out the benefits which are important to them, right? And it goes the same for your content, right? You're calling out the benefits of your product which are important to your customer, which means you need to know your customer. You really need to understand them on an intimate level, right? You need to focus on the outcomes. Don't focus on the process of how your product works or service works, because nobody's interested, but they're really interested what it can do for them. Always focus on the outcomes. Highlight the studies, the testimonials, like try to make it sound very simple. So don't make any unrealistic promises, especially, you know, in your content. If you're using AI right now, please review the copy and remove all the words like profound experience, transformative change, like life-changing something, because it sounds too grand and it sounds unrealistic. Never use it in your content, because like it makes people distrust you. It sounds too much, right? Rather be very simple. And the belief in themselves, right? People need social proof. People need to see somebody else who is working with you and who is the same like they are, right? Because people don't trust themselves. Can I really pull this off? Do I really have the time for this? Do I have like enough knowledge and skill to pull this off, right? And show them the simplicity of the process. What newbie entrepreneurs do a lot in the beginning, they try to pack their product or service list like lots and lots and lots of benefits, like, and it does this and does this. And in people's minds, they're overwhelmed. You know, like if you really look at people these days, we have so much freaking going on in our lives. If you put them a process like this, super complicated, and we're doing this and also this and also this, they're like, oh my God, fuck that. Right? Because like, why would I even kind of like, you know, interact with this product? Because it sounds too overwhelming. And we did these mistakes ourselves, right? So make it sound very simple. So let's try some, yes.
Can I add something?
Yes, of course.
There is actually a neuroscience behind what you just said about that list of benefits, right? Usually when our brain sees one benefit, our brain thinks that's not enough. When our brain sees two benefits, our brain thinks that's binary, which actually is, we present as a salesperson, right? We present, listen, I give you these two benefits, but the brain of your client thinks I'm getting either this benefit or the other benefit. The brain thinks either or when you present two benefits. But when we present three benefits, our brain thinks this is infinite. Once you go to 4 or 5, that's when the brain thinks this is too good to be true. Mm-hmm. It becomes overwhelming. So you stay with your 3 like ultimate benefits, and that's when you're going to hit, you know, the right spot at your client every time. Don't go for 2, don't go for 1, Go for 3, but don't go further than that, because otherwise, indeed, you get this overwhelm and it actually scares the client away from you instead of attracting the client towards you.
Cool. Any
That's what I
questions for
wanted
this,
to
guys?
ask. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Steph. It's awesome addition. Right? Something to watch out for, right? Because like
Sorry, there is a question.
Yes.
Yeah, from Karina. Karina says, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I work in innovation where transforming and disrupting things is what clients look for. What would you suggest as a good message? As you said, transformation and such words do not generate trust.
I didn't say that transformation doesn't generate trust. I said that profound transformation or life-changing something. Like when these things sound too grand, that's when the trust diminishes, right? Because when it sounds too good to be believable, we don't trust, right? So be more down to earth. Explain the actual benefits, but don't go like in this crazy marketing, nice sounding words, which actually don't add any meat to the bone, right? And a lot of times, like for Karina as well, because like it really depends on your positioning, right? And I don't know, for example, who's your customer. So you say like, I work on innovation, but that's about you. But I don't know who is the customer you're working with. What are they looking for? What is the size of companies that they are, the type of customers, like the industry, the segment. Whatever you put out in your content would depend on your customer. It doesn't depend on you. You describe, I work on innovation. How do they describe what they're looking for? Right. And that's important. That's why like I kind of like always mention that we need to know our customer, because we need to know how they name their problems in their own language. Right. Because I'm sure that they are not just saying, I'm looking for innovation. They are looking for a specific solution to their specific problem. Right? They want to innovate what? For what specific reason? What's the pain point? Right? That's what we're talking about. All right. So something to watch out for, right? Because there needs to be a balance of content, but this is kind of like not the topic for today, but in general, right? So we can't always only put case studies or testimonials out there. We also need to put some personal stories. We also, especially like if you're a solopreneur, right? But even for companies, a lot of times personal stories, like if it's a founder or somebody who is a member of the team, or the stories like of the team is something that is very valuable to build trust and create human connection. But I just want you to watch out for certain things, especially testimonials. Majority of times, testimonials suck because people don't know how to give testimonials and you don't know how to ask them in the right way, right? Because a lot of times what you see in the testimonials is like, oh, like, I don't know, Steph is such a nice person to work with. Like, I felt so comfortable and he's such a good listener. It doesn't give me anything, right? About the problem that the client came to me with, the outcomes the customer received after working with me, right? The benefits that they acquired on the way. Nothing, zero, right?
Nothing.
Absolutely, right? It's like, oh, Steph is such a good listener. Like he asks such good questions. It makes me feel so comfortable. That's awesome. But was he actually able to solve your problem? That I don't know. Thus, I don't trust, right? So it's kind of like whenever you ask your customers to provide a testimonial, always ask them about the highest pain point or the highest moment of pain they experienced when they came to you. Right? So it needs to be like, what was the most painful moment in your life situation that led you to approach the person you're working with, right? Like what led you to approach me? And then testimonial must really state the outcome. So, I came when this problem was really painful for me. And after working with Steph, I got XYZ result, right? That helped me so much. Oh my God. Right? And everything else in my business changed as well after that. Awesome. This is a good testimonial, right? So really watch out for that. Case studies.
I'm
Don't
taking
forget.
Notes.
Nice. But it's really important because for majority of times, like people just don't know how to give testimonials. So if you don't prompt them, they will give you some bullshit like, oh, like it was very nice working together. It's like, okay, thanks for nothing. All right. So case studies, right? It's very important to name who's the customer, right? Because again, like for people to trust that your product or service can work for them, they need to see for whom it is kind of like applicable, right? So if you name the customer, they can understand whether it's also can be working for them, right? Or cannot be working for them. So who was the customer? What was the problem, right? How it was hurting their business or their relationships or whatever the problem they came with. What solutions that they look like at and also rejected before coming to you, right? Mihi, for example, can be like really cool for you because you mentioned that, for example, like a lot of your clients, they look at being medication free, right? Because like when they have sleep issues, they go to the doctor, they prescribe them some meds and they don't want to use the meds, right? So what kind of solutions they looked at and rejected and why, right? So you can talk about in the case study. Why did they choose your service as a solution in the end, right? Describe the implementation of your service. What problem it solved? What are the results that the customer got after working with you, right? Would they recommend your service and why or why not? but not would they. Well, actually, like there are a lot of interesting copywriting frameworks where you can also like turn around the negative things and turn them into positive. So, like you also can say that somebody refused working with you because, like you said, you're not going to provide them meds. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. Well, guess what? If you're someone like this, then my service is not for you. But then the one for whom it is, they would know right away, right? So there are ways, but it's kind of like remember to always identify who that was, what problem they came to you with, how did you solve it for them, what were the outcomes, okay? Personal stories, because it's also very important for us, especially if we're solopreneurs, right? Especially in the beginning when your business is basically you, right? To talk about personal stories, but also because in our business, we more and more have requests from founders of the companies, sometimes of startups, sometimes even established companies already, because they want to create their personal brand, right? So kind of like for creation of your own brand, for creating the trust with your potential customers, you need to tell personal stories. Something that is super important to remember. Your story is about you, but it's not about you. It is about your customer. You're always like, nobody's interested in your random stories, guys. I'm super, super sorry. I love you, but your customer is selfish. They don't care. They care about themselves. So what is important to them? What is the problem you were facing that your customer is facing? What was the situation that you were experiencing that your customer is experiencing? These are the things that you're describing so they can recognize themselves in your story. They must look at your contents. Doesn't matter if it's like visual content or if it is written content, and they must recognize themselves in that, right? If they don't recognize themselves in that, there is no trust, there is no connection. You are always in some sort of way their point B, right? So you need to understand on their journey from A to B, if you are their point B, what are they looking at point B? So your content needs to, either with the imagery or with video or with the text, show them that you've got now already what they want to have, right? Very important, because this will create a lot of desire and it will eliminate a lot of objections because they will see that you already have what they want to have, right? So it kind of eliminates all the questions like, oh, can your product or service really do this? Can this expert really help me? Yes, because you already have what they want to have, right? And expressing strong personal opinions, like especially expert opinions, is something very important, right? Showing like your points of view, your values, your lifestyle, your quirks, because whether we want it or not, but people like to buy from people who are like them. They need to see us as relatable. We are like them in some sort of way, but we are also their point B. So we also have something that they don't have yet. Yet you are relatable. Got it? All right. So the most typical objections, price objections, right? Who heard before it's too expensive? Right? Raise a hand or a virtual hand. Have you heard this?
Come on, be honest, guys. Come on.
Right. I'm sure, like even the people who are without the camera now, I'm sure that they heard this before.
They
Right?
just admitting to that, Olia.
Right? So it's kind of like we all know that there is nothing too expensive in a way. There is just a lack of perceived value, right? Because people spend money and a lot of money on random stuff. They're just not spending it on you, right? So how do we deal with that? if you have a high ticket offer and you know it's a high ticket, never argue with the customer. You agree with them that yes, it is a big investment. Yes, I understand it's not little money to spend, right? So people want to be right. So even in our content, we can say this, right? We can say like, yes, it's not the cheapest offer on the market, but for this price, the quality, and then you can list what they're getting, right? But you agree first. You don't argue with the customer. So great framework for overcoming this type of objection can be the 4 Ps. Michi, maybe let's try with you. If you could give me on the spot a little example, how you could use this framework. So 4 Ps, picture, you paint a picture of their wished for state of life. Then you make a promise, right? That the desire, that the picture will come true. You give them a proof it really works. And then you push for a sale, push for action. What could be an example?
I'm picturing already the good outcome, right?
Hmm?
So, yeah. Imagine you're waking up refreshed and energized in the morning. So, for all the people who don't know, I'm helping people solving their sleep issues. Promise
it can come true.
Yeah. Okay. I don't like this. So, okay. Picture. Okay. So you're a busy entrepreneur, right? Imagine you have all the energy you want. You have to focus during the day. You rock your business, and you even have a lot of energy at the end of the day for your loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
And the promise is waking up.
No, promise them it can really come true.
Okay. So it can really come true. Proofs. I've been there myself, or I had a client that faced similar what you face. So this is the 2 roads I'm usually going.
And push for action.
Do you want to have all of this?
Right? That's like, imagine like, it's kind of like when you're putting a post out there, right? You can say like, imagine waking up in the morning full of energy. And even after a busy working day, you still have the energy for your loved ones. Well, it's not only achievable. As a matter of fact, we can get this for you in 4 weeks, or get you to this state in 4 weeks. The same as Johnny, Olga, and Karsten, who worked with me, and you tag them, achieved in 4 weeks. So if you're someone who wants to have the same result, DM me for a free consultation. Right? So this is kind of like the framework that you can work, right? Because there is the picture, so you kind of like futurescaping of what can be. You promise them it can happen, right? And if you put, for example, a timeline against it, you've been very specific on the timeline, it becomes much more believable, right? The same as it worked for 1, 2, 3, 4 people, right? That's like, especially if you tag them and people can contact them, that creates a lot of trust, right? Even without like quoting the testimonials per se. And then if you want to have the same result, let's talk. Just drop me a DM, right? So you push for action, right? Something else that
Ulrike says, you make it seem so easy and smooth, Olga.
Skills.
That's a compliment.
Thank you. Tell me more. Switching on the wind machine. All right. Like you can also turn it around, right? So kind of like, if you're really addressing the price objection in your content, you can ask, would you pay $1,000 to save $5,500? Would you say yes, right? Like it would be stupid to say no. So this is kind of like how you can turn it like around, right? Or show them the benefits. So it kind of eliminates the objection of like, oh, it's too expensive. Well, yes, it's a sufficient investment, right? Again, we're agreeing with them. But on the upside, like you're going to have so much more, like it just makes total sense to invest, right? Something else, like another formula kind of that you can use in your content is beliefs, desires, and feelings, right? what does your audience believe in regards to what you are selling, right? What do they want, right? And what do they feel about the major issues in their life right now, businesses or industries right now, right? So I don't know who wants to try to do this. And by the way, guys, like those who are on camera will receive more attention from me because like I just see their faces. So if guys are off camera who want to try as well to kind of apply this to their own case, come on camera to us. Kashila, you're the
if you play full out, you just get more value out of this. So the ball is in your hands right now. You either play full out or you don't play, or you play little.
Exactly. Right. So Kashila, you're on. So BDF formula. What does your audience believe in regards to the service or product that you sell? Unmute yourself, otherwise we can't hear you.
All right. So beliefs, desires, and feelings, right?
Yes.
What does your
What do they believe?
Okay. Okay. Maybe a little introduction. I advise in portfolio management. So I advise clients how to invest their money.
Mm-hmm.
So what my client believe. Do you want me to explain, or do you want me to do like a role play?
Like pretend you're writing a post on LinkedIn or a little pitch. Yes.
Okay. All right. I think let me say it like this. You probably believe that your assets will help you make your life easier in the future. It will give you a certain financial flexibility and help you gain more time with your family.
Mm-hmm.
Than desire. Oh, I also did that a little bit, but I think
you kind of already touched on that. Okay, yeah. So like it's actually good. So how would you spin it further?
So how do you feel? What would it do for you if you would see your asset lose their value?
Very good. Yeah.
That's a great take. I love that one, actually. And I'm going to touch on that further at my part, but I really love that. Absolutely. Please continue.
Now spin it. Like it's a great one. So you want to have these assets because they will help you with all these wonderful things that you desire. So how would it make you feel when your assets will actually start losing value?
Yeah.
Like, ooh, you know, like that makes me like, it's like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Okay. So what can you do for them to make sure that like it never happens?
Well, probably that would make you feel unhappy. So how would you feel if I can help you achieve your goal to make your assets maintain their value or even grow in the future? How would you feel about that?
So actually, like it was very strong until there. So like try this actually. Like if you're putting any content out there, try it tomorrow, right? So like, you probably enjoy looking at your assets growing and doing this and that, right? And you're imagining how it's going to help you to have like a bigger house, more quality vacations, more time with your family, better education for your kids. But how would it make you actually feel if you start noticing that your assets are losing value? It's like, ooh, this is a threat to my wonderful future. Well, come to a 30-minute conversation with me and we'll lay out all the steps you need to take right now to make sure this never happens. It's like, okay, let me consult. You know, something along these lines, right? But you can definitely play on this. So for everybody else, guys, by the way, like that you are listening, of course, like it's an example of somebody else's business, but you can absolutely apply it to yourselves, right? So this is where people come without having much objection, right? Because like, this is much more valuable, right? And even then if the service is high ticket afterwards, right? Like Nashila tries to sell me on a high ticket offer, but if it ensures that I don't lose money in the future, hell yes, sign me up. I would not have the objections. It's expensive, right? Because I will see how much money is going to save me in the future, right? All right. And if you have a low ticket offer, you can compare it to something else, right? Like you can compare it to a cup of coffee or whatever, right? And the relative kind of like cost, what it is. I don't know, like we might say something like this with Carson, right? Like if you sign up for Meta ecosystem, you will get the software, all-in-one marketing and sales software, plus the master classes, plus community, plus whatever, all for a price that is less than a cup of coffee per day, right? I'm not trying to tell you how much it is per month, but I'm just trying to tell you that it's like you're getting all of this and software and this and this and this, and it's all less than a cup of coffee. How much do you spend on coffee per day, right? All right. In the interest of time, I won't show you guys with examples anymore, but I'll just quickly scan through what else we have. So time objections, not the right time, right? The second most popular objection of all times, right? So underlying reasons, so they don't like perceive the sense of urgency to invest with you right now, or, you know, like your product or service sounds too daunting. So they don't believe they will have enough time to do this. So basically what you can do in your content, there is like a 4S formula, right? Short words, short sentences, short paragraphs, short sections. Like if you're using this in your copy, for example, that creates a sense that you will be not wasting their time, because like nobody kind of like has the time these days to read the long copy. So if you write in paragraphs that are like this, it's already the perception that you're wasting my time, right? So be precise, use short words, short sentences, short paragraphs, right? The shorter, the better, right? Be very specific. Any vague information sounds like a waste of time without a guaranteed specific result, right? So we always go for specificity, right? And give them the reassurance that they will not waste their time. So, I don't know, like mention something like it only takes X minutes per day, right? Like Michi, for example, like again, like I'm just addressing the people whom I have on the screen. So Michi, for example, like what you have, right, is people a lot of times are scared of the lengthy sleep program, right? And that's what kind of like your interviews indicated. So you can tell them that it will not, like it only takes 15 minutes per day, right? And you sleep like a baby, right? So it's not a massive time investment, right? So eliminates this kind of like, oh, I don't have time for this, right? Most of our clients do this on the side of their full-time employment, right? If I tell people to start the side hustle. We know how busy your life is. That's why we take over X, Y, and Z so you can have more time in your day, right? So all of these things, if you proactively address in your content, they're going to help you with the time objection. And also applying the urgency, right? Like giving them like some sort of a cutoff date when they need to make a decision, right? Because not the right time, but if the offer is so good, maybe it is the right time, right? So you have a limited special offer or something like this only now, right? That will help you as well. Feature and benefit objections. That's when people don't see the direct connection between the features of your product or service and their needs, right? And that's what we see in sales conversations a lot of times when people go on and on and on about how wonderful their product is or service is. And on the other side, people are like in the, their body language is like, I'm yawning, I'm looking to the side, I'm uncomfortable, I kind of like want to go away because they don't see the need, right? Or like any connection to like what you are telling them. So something that really helps you in your content, if you identify your USP and if you can make it sound strong enough. So strong promise that responds to the most pressing need, right? Again, you need to know the needs of the customer. Offer something that no one else offers. So really be aware what's the like difference to everybody else on the market that you can deliver and others cannot, right? Use a very strong secondary promise. So this is like a very interesting one that you can do in your content, like where there is the big promise kind of your product or service, but there is also a second one, which might be just enough valuable by itself to invest in your product or service, right? Include a case study, case studies again, super awesome. And you can use also the reverse logic, right? What we were talking about. Our product doesn't do this, this, and this, but it's awesome when it comes to this, this, and that, right? So this is also the content that you can put out there. All right, need objection. People don't understand the problem that your product is solving. This is customer interviews, right? That really understanding whether you are solving any particular product for a customer. So we have here the 5-step formula, but I think it's a bit lengthy, guys. But in a way, like always the premises, like our main job is to get attention. Attention is a very, is the currency that we all kind of like trading on the marketing market, right? So we need to get attention. Focused on the strongest like benefit and single benefit that your offer has, right? In your content. Show a need, why they need this type of service or product and how it relates to solving the problem they have. Because a lot of times people like, I don't know, if we're explaining yoga for back pain, for example, right? Some people might not know that they need yoga to solve their back pain, right? So we can talk about like, get a whatever, pain-free back or get a better posture or whatever it is, right? Whatever their need is, then explain why they need yoga to do this, why it is better than everything else that they ever tried, right? Position your service as the ultimate solution to their problem, right? With my specific type of yoga where we focus on this and that, we solve this pain problem in a better way than anyone else does. Prove that your product or service can do exactly what you promise, right? So give them a snapshot of somebody's results. Give them a testimonial, compare your service to some other services on the market, whatever that is, then ask for action, right? Don't forget to always ask for action. Okay, and the last one from my side today is other decision makers in the process, right? Because a lot of times people will say, I need to consult my partner, or I need to talk to my boss, or I need to talk to my company, right? So we really need for one to understand who are the decision makers in the process and help our customers. If other decision makers are involved in the process, we need to help our customer to sell to other decision makers. It is our job to help them to sell, right? So speak to what's important to the other decision makers in your content. Emphasize the guarantees that your product has. If your product or service doesn't have a strong guarantee, make sure that it has a strong guarantee. Educate, provide additional resources, highlight a lot of success stories, right? Share plenty of testimonials in your content. This will all help them to persuade whoever else is as a decision maker in the process to make the decision to buy from you.